Hey, it's Vanessa. I'm back with another video, and I wanted to thank you all for writing in the comments and letting me know the quilting technique that you struggle with the most. As I read through the comments, I realized that a lot of us quilters struggle with the same or similar types of techniques, and they're really not that difficult to tackle. So what I've decided to do is to keep a running list of all the things you mentioned, and I'm going to make sure that I tackle those in my upcoming instructional videos that I'll be posting as a part of this new online community that I'm building. And so I've noticed that it's kind of really simple to make quilting a lot harder than it has to be, especially with all the math involved. And so what I try to do is to keep things as simple as possible. So regardless of your skill level, whether you're a complete newbie or you're a more experienced quilter, you'll still be able to get it and apply it to future projects as well. And so that's one of the things that I like to do, is to teach you the why we're doing something. Not just this is what you got to do, but teach you why we're doing it. And so that not only are you applying it to the current quilt project that we're working on, but you're also building up that skill set so that you can apply it to your future quilt projects as well. So for those of you that mentioned that you struggle with precise patchwork piecing, I'm going to share with you 3 quick tips that you can start applying today to your patchwork to make it even better. So there are a lot of different ways that you can make your patchwork piecing more precise, and I'm just going to share 3 tips with you that really help me. One of them is to starch your pieces, and I have 2 samples here, same size, same fabric. One is a lot more fluid, and this is just the fabric by itself. And now this one is a little bit starched already. You can see it's a little bit stiffer, so I'm going to show you. And I like to use whatever starch I can get at the dollar store, really. As long as it says heavy starch on it, like this one does, heavy starch, that's what I go with. It works fine for me, and especially if it's more inexpensive and something that I can afford, because I go through a lot of those bottles. So I'm just pressing it in there with some starch, and notice I'm not really swiping it too hard, just press up and down to kind of set that starch in your fabric. And that's going to make the fabric more paper-like. And if you've ever stitched through paper, you know that there's no distortion, you don't have to deal with any bias or anything, so it's not really going to move on you. And so that's what we aim to do by starching our fabric. I mean, this looks almost like an index card. It's nice and stiff, and you can see the difference. This is really drapey, and it's flowing over my fingers. So when we're stitching or piecing our patchwork pieces with a piece that's a lot stiffer like this one, it's going to be a lot more precise because it's not going to move on you too much. So that's one tip, is to starch your fabrics before you cut your pieces. And I'll even go ahead and multiple times while I'm working with the patchwork pieces, keep starching them so they stay nice and stiff. And there's no worries about it staying like this, because once you wash your quilt, it'll all wash out. All right. Another thing that I like to do is to use glass head pins. I like these nice and fine ones, and because they're not like the cheap little plastic head ones, these hold up a lot better, and you can iron on them. The ball on the tip here is not going to melt, and because they're fine, they help keep your pieces in place a lot better than the bigger, bulkier ones. And so I'm going to put together this little 4-patch here using 2 of these tips. So one is going to be to use my glass head pins, and then something else, this is my 3rd tip here, is to use the lapel stick. This is a non-toxic and washable fabric glue stick, and there's no setting involved. You may have seen another method out there of using glue, like school glue, to do your stuff, and that works well also, but I like to do this one because I don't have to set it with an iron. So I put just a little small dab right on that seam, and I'm just going to finger press this together. And now the lapel stick is not going to gum up your machine, it won't gum up your pins, and so if you really want to make everything nice and secure, you match up the points right where you want them, and if you don't want them to budge on you, go ahead and add pins as well. So I'm going to stitch this up and see what we end up with. Okay. So we can just set that seam, open it up, and you can see that I have a perfect 4-patch there. So those are my 3 tips. Start your pieces before you cut them out, and as you're working with the patchwork pieces, use fine glass head pins and use your lapel stick to keep everything in place before stitching. So go ahead and give those tips a try and see if you don't see a difference in how precise your patchwork piecing is working out for you. And so this is just a taste of the type of content that I'll be bringing to you as a part of my course videos and different tips and tricks videos that I'll be releasing and posting as a part of the new online community that I'm working on building. And so for those of you that don't know, I'm in the process of putting together this new online community where I'll be posting different course videos like never before seen quilting footage and things that I'll be teaching you, sharing with you. We'll also have a place where we can all communicate with each other and participate in things like live chats and live web stream videos of me sewing here in my studio. And then we'll also be doing things like sharing pictures with one another, participating in things like fun swaps and retreats, and even some really cool giveaways. I've been a quilting instructor for over 7 years, and I've taught thousands and thousands of people worldwide, whether it be in an online class or in person, right? And I've taught everything from the absolute newbie who's never sewn on a sewing machine before to quilters who have been quilting longer than I've been alive, okay? So I feel like I really have something to share with everyone out there. Now, my work has been published in several different magazines, quilting magazines especially, and this year I even got my quilt on the cover of one of the popular modern quilting magazines out there, so that was great. A couple of years ago, I was nominated by the International Association of Professional Quilters as Teacher of the Year, so that was quite the honor. And so for me, as I'm putting all this content out there and helping thousands and thousands of people improve their quilting skills and learn new skills and techniques, it's hard for me to really gauge who exactly is benefiting from all this. So when I receive testimonials from my students, that really helps add a name and a story to what is going on out there and who is watching my videos. So let me take a second and read you a couple of testimonials from my students so you hear what they're saying about me. So this is an email I got from Deb, and Deb says, "Good morning. I just had to say how thankful I am that I found your site. I'm 50 years old and have never sewn a stitch in my life. I hated sewing in school." Does that sound like one of you out there? So she says, "I was so lucky 2 years ago to become a grandma to a beautiful little boy, and a friend taught me how to make a rag quilt, and then I was hooked. I went out and bought a new machine and basically have been learning off of YouTube to do everything as classes with tons of people intimidate me." She says, "Anyhow, somehow I found you, and now I have the confidence to try more. You're a wonderful teacher. Wow," with 3 exclamation points. She says, "Your instructions are so clear and easy to follow. I purchased 2 of your tutorials last night and stayed up until 2 a.m. watching them. I was so excited to try the envelope pillowcase, and it turned out perfect that I ended up making 5 more. Anyway, I look forward to seeing what else I can learn from you, and truly thank you for sharing your talents with me." So there it is, somebody who's 50 years old, never sewn a stitch before, and now has the confidence to believe in her abilities and try new projects and go forward and make wonderful works of art. So the next testimonial here comes from Kathy. And she says, "Thank you. I've been quilting for about 15 years, but I never had a tutorial on how to bind a quilt. I always just sort of winged it. Mitered corners always confuse me, and this video is fabulous. I appreciate your help so much." So there you have it. 2 totally different quilters. One is a complete newbie at 50 years of age who had never sewn a stitch before, and she benefited from my video tutorials. And then the other lady has been quilting longer than I have for 15 years, and I was still able to teach her something new. And so no matter what your skill level is, even if you think that this is not for you, trust me, I have something for you. I'll help build your confidence in your quilting skills and help you try new things so you can make gorgeous quilts in less time. Now, if you don't think that you have enough time in the day to find some time to quilt, don't worry, because I feel like I'm going to make this online community so much fun that you're just going to have to carve out some time to do something that you enjoy, right? Research shows that quilting is therapeutic, and with our crazy busy lives these days, I feel like we all should really make the effort to carve out some time to do something that we enjoy, like quilting. And no worries, for those super busy times of the year when we have hectic schedules, I will make sure that the content I upload to this new community is up there indefinitely, so it won't expire on you and you'll be able to access it whenever it can fit into your schedule. So now I'm going to get back to working on this project. I have a lot of work to do, and I'm really excited because with your help, I really am finalizing all the details. Now, before I let you guys go ahead and leave me a comment below letting me know why you love quilting. What does it do for you? Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back with another video, so stay tuned for that coming real soon.